This is Conversations with Women in Sales, an award-winning podcast created by Barbara Giamanco, who hosted the first 67 episodes. Listen to interviews with amazing women about their journeys in their sales careers, often discussing sales leadership tips, ideas, and strategies. We aim to inspire women to consider a sales career and for some women to grow into sales leadership. Men, we appreciate your allyship. And now, your host, Lori Richardson.
I'm so excited today. I'm here with Catherine Andruha. She is Senior Director of Global Sales Development at Simpler. And I've been following her for a long time. So great to see you, Catherine. Thanks for being here today.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for having me, Lori. I'm super excited to chat with you. I think the last time we got to chat on a panel was back at an AISP conference. Yeah. I still remember that with Mario. So super fun.
Oh, that's right. In San Francisco. Yeah. I remember that too. Yeah. That was a while ago. But you're a big champion for women in sales and you're a leader and you've been sales leader for a long time. And so I want to hear about that because for some reason, for a lot of reasons, we continue to have a lack of women in leadership. And I just want to maybe break down some myths and just show that it's not as scary as it needs to be. And how did you start so early on in your career in a leader role?
Yeah, it's a great lesson that I learned. And it was with the past boss. And I had heard that they were going to be hiring like a supervisor role. I was just an SDR. I was the top SDR. I'd won the award and everything. And I had heard that they were going to be rolling out a supervisor role, but they were looking at the male on my team. That was also really great. And I said, how come you didn't consider me? And my boss goes, because you didn't tell me you wanted it. And so from that moment on, I always tell everybody what my career path is or where I want to be in the future. It doesn't mean that I'm looking for them to just hand it over to me, but I want them, it's intentional so that they know where my head is at, what my end game is, and what I'm really looking for. And so just constantly doing that keeps me on my A game as well and keeps myself relevant.
Yeah, but you didn't just learn that from him. Somewhere inside you, is there so many women that just won't speak up? They lurk on LinkedIn. And I don't think I'm the first one to say, we don't need to fix women. We're just different. We come from a different place. We've been socialized differently to sit back, not sit in the chair at the table, but sit at the outside of the meeting and not speak up so much. And where did you learn them from your family?
Yeah, I guess my mom always worked as a child, right? And she and my father were a dual income household and they shared everything, the cooking, the cleaning, everything was together. And I was very blessed, right? I know that doesn't happen for everybody, but I really learned, even from my father at a very young age, that women could do anything that they wanted to do. I had a sister growing up, and then my parents ended up having they had a boy, right? So my dad we were much older than my brother. I'm 12 years older than him, but my dad was so used to being like a girl dad and really pumping us up and letting us know we could do anything. There was never any excuses for not doing well in school, not going to college. It was always like we just spoke about it at all times. So I recommend if you are a female leader and your mom, keep that up with your kids as well. But I also try to push that type of message out to the females on my team and anybody who I'm interviewing with, like keep pushing. Everything can be equal. You just have to ask for it and have to keep pushing it yourself. Because unfortunately, the universe doesn't work in our favor. I don't know why, but it still doesn't work in our favor. And
what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
I just mean, I think even with equality and pay, we're still making than what men make. And so when I go in for an interview or if I'm looking for a new role, I'm upping myself, right? I'm upping myself to where my counterparts are. And I think it's really important that we do that for ourselves. Don't just settle for what's being pushed at you at first glance. Negotiate. You have that ability to negotiate. What's the worst thing that they can say is no. And the ball's in your court to make that decision. And if you don't feel like it's a good fit or they're underpaying you, find another role. If there's something I can tell all the women out there, life is too short to work for crappy bosses that are mean and to work for less than what you're worth.
Yes.
settle. It's okay. There's something out there for you. I promise you. If you're 20, you have 30 more years to work.
Yeah.
If it's more, if you're 30, you have maybe 30 more years to work. Yeah. Like there's so much out there. Don't pigeonhole yourself.
Yeah. And I run into a lot of women when I'm in in-person events that tell me about a horrible boss they work for. One woman was pregnant during the pandemic, and she said her doctor asked her to quit her job because the woman had such a bad boss that was just verbally harassing her. And you need to quit for your mental health, and to not just do it to not just see that and go, oh, I got to get out of here. Women stay in roles longer, and we figure, oh, he'll come around. He's probably it's just Bob. That's the way he is. And they don't change. It's like a bad relationship.
Yeah. And my mom always told me they're showing you their true colors. Believe them.
Yeah.
Believe them. People aren't going to change just for you. And I think it's really important to work. I have a life coach. I'm really lucky that I found somebody that can give me that outside perspective that I need. But it's really important to weigh your options, and it's okay to change. I think that's another thing that women are really afraid of, is that they're afraid to make changes. And change can feel uncomfortable and change can be scary, but that means that it can also be really good. Change is a positive. It gives you, when you start, you can start something fresh and something new. Even a new job is a change. That's a fresh start.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to switch your mindset to more of a positive spin than always being so negative too.
Yeah. And being hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Women are
agree.
really hard on themselves. And it's because we have to hold ourselves to such a higher standard and do so much more than male counterparts have to do. And so we're harder on ourselves and we expect perfection. And I will say at times that does roll out down to my team. I hold my team to a very high expectation level, but I go into each new role and I let them know these are my expectations.
Yeah.
And it's not a make or break, but you guys are all here for a reason too. I'm here for a reason as well. Let's hold ourselves to a higher standard. Let's get ourselves to that next level together. It doesn't have to be individual. Let's do it together and learn from each other.
Yeah. And you've been in that. It used to be inside sales, and then it became sales development. You've been leading sales development for a long time. Do you really like that niche?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I think it's just I'm good at it, like the process and procedure. I think as I've gotten more tenured in my career, I've found a better way to channel my energy into more process and procedure and really into change management. I'm really focused on how to narrate that change to SDRs, to even managers. I think it's super important. And that's how received your message will be. So I've moved away from that KPI focus and allowed my managers to really run their team I'm a little bit hands off, right? I'd say like in the beginning of a new role, like right now, I'm like really down into it and trying to figure out what moves our needle. But at the same time, I'm not emailing my team being like, you guys didn't hit your dials, right? That's not where I'm focused. I'm focused more on strategy and how my team can make the company more successful. Not just sales, not just revenue, but marketing, PMM, sales and marketing, right? Like we're all together. We're
It
all
all works together.
common
Yeah.
goal.
We go to
And
market.
so, yeah, we're all spokes on that wheel.
Yeah.
So I've really started shifting my view on not just focusing on my team, but focusing on how my team can make that impact.
Oh, that's so interesting. And you are in Silicon Valley. You've been around SaaS companies for a long time. What have you seen just in the last months? There's been a big change in terms because of some layoffs, downsizing, or right sizing. People were growing too fast. I think everybody's agreeing to that. How do you feel there's any difference in the SDR role now? Are we going to have SDRs and BDRs?
I think we're still going to have that human behind the machine. We need to. There always needs to be that checks and balances. What I do see is the world is a little bit more fragile after COVID, and there seems to be this just lack of experience, not in the sense of getting the dials done on stuff, but just experience with dealing with these types of issues. We were in COVID, we were in a bubble. There were no layoffs. There were no expectations of people coming into the office, things like that. We're reverting to a little bit back to where we were before. I don't think we'll make that full shift back again, but I do see us intermingling a lot of what we had before into now. What I will say for any SDRs out there and female SDRs, nothing's going to happen to you if you're focused on your job and you're hitting your number.
Yeah.
I know that a lot of the layoffs at most companies happen to individuals that were underperforming.
In some cases, yeah. And other people were totally shocked that.
Yeah. And I see it coming back. I think that this is just a blip. I really do think that there's 567,000 jobs out there. There's roles out there. I think companies are right sizing. They're becoming a little bit more efficient. They're going to ask more out of their employees. It's a small wave that we're going through right now.
Yeah.
But what I mean by is like the lack of experience. They don't know how to deal with that wave.
Yeah.
As leaders, we should be offering our experience with how we've done with the waves. I was working during that first recession. I was in finance and boy, was that brutal, right?
Yeah, it was.
And then I was there for the highs and the lows through the tech too, back in the early 2000s.
It was very different. It was very different than what's happening now. I was there too.
Yeah. And so my experience allows me to know that this isn't the end all, right?
Yeah.
So share that. I think as leaders, we should be sharing that and opening up the floor to like an Ask Me Anything session. Have your employees ask you what it was like back in the day when we had flip phones. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's really valuable, but I'm not panicked. I've been laid off. I've been fired. I never get really panicked because I know I'm a really great employee. And so everybody should feel that about themselves. They're worthy. They're worthy.
Yeah. So focus on your professional development, hit your numbers. I always felt that way as a single parent. If I hit my numbers, nobody bothered me. It was great. That's a great thing about sales. That's why I love it so much.
And one more tidbit on that really quick is that don't be that negative catalyst on your team either. Because let me tell you something. Everybody hears everything that you say. Keep your brand positive and on top. And like you just said, no one's going to bother you. But if you become the negative catalyst without any backing and providing solutions, there could be something negative happening at work and you want to be that catalyst of positive change.
Yeah.
Don't be the gossiper. Don't be the water cooler person. Don't be bad mouthing your manager. I'm telling you right now, it'll all catch up to you. It's not going to be good.
Yeah.
Never that great.
Absolutely. Totally agree. Okay. Let's switch gears. Can you name 5 female VPs of sales?
Ooh, lots of CMOs, but VPs of sales. I know Lori Harmon, she was my old boss and she's a VP.
It doesn't attest for you so much as just the fact that
Nelly
have a lot of
help. She's a VP of SDR, but no, not that many.
Years ago, I went to an event. It was at HubSpot actually, and there were 4 women VPs of sales sitting on a panel. And Allie Powell, I don't know if you know her, but she's championed women in sales for a long time. I'm going to have her on the show in an upcoming episode, but she stood up and she said, I've been in tech for, 5 or 6 years at that time. And she said, I've never seen 4 women VPs of sales. In fact, I think she had never met a female VP of sales, if I recall. And it is something you don't see that much of. And I was an individual contributor for a long time and I loved that role. And I don't want someone telling me like, you should be a leader, But I do feel like if for the women who have aspirations and maybe are not sure if they can lead a team, they should at least look into it. Don't you think?
Yeah. That's the problem with women. You don't just apply.
Yeah.
A lot of women pre-qualify themselves out of a role.
Yeah.
Or they even apply for it. What's the harm? Just apply.
And my feeling is that it's not a confidence issue, but it's more like, why would I waste your time, Catherine? If I don't meet all the qualifications, why should I apply? Because it's a waste of my time and yours. That's what I think it is. It's not a confidence thing.
And that's too bad too, because I don't really worry about wasting other people's time. So many people waste my time all the time. Nobody seems to care about my time. So I take a little time back from the universe, I'd say. But also, I think it's really important when you do go in for an interview, tell people why you're number one.
Yeah.
A male is going to walk in and be like, I'm the best person for this role. Why can't you be? So it's something that I've started doing when I interview is like, why would you consider looking at anybody else? I'm one of the top female sales leaders. I've been in this role for over 15 years.
Yeah.
I'm on top of my A game. I'm getting my MBA degree. I beat out most of the candidates that I bet you're interviewing.
Yeah.
Slam dunk deal.
Isn't that great? We need more of that. And again, I always preface it by saying women don't need to be fixed, but there are things that we can do to better position ourselves. And I know when it hits me is when I'm on a panel or something and I've submitted my bio, brief bio, and then I'll see a guy that's on the panel and it's this number one, this and on this list and that list. And I'll be like, I was on that list too, but I didn't even mention it because I'm just not, it doesn't matter. I talk about, we don't necessarily all want to be president of the United States or chiseled out of stone on a mountainside. A lot of women do their thing and then they move on, and it's by design. We're designed differently. To have a little bit of that is really important.
Yeah. And I even put on my resume, I don't even, number one, stop putting your address on there. Nobody cares where you live. But instead I put like my name, and then right under my name, I'm like, top 100 sales leaders of blah, 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 name this, blah, blah, blah. And then I put my top 3 skills of like revenue generation, operationally efficiency, and then something like empathetic leader too, right?
Yeah.
So I hit all of the skills that I know I can bring to the table on top of that, but I don't ever put nothing related to non-numbers or something like that. Like I always put my top numbers on there.
Yeah, that's great. In closing, just want to see, are you a reader? Do you have any book recommendations or,
Yeah, I am a reader. I've been reading a lot of textbooks lately because I'm almost done with my MBA.
Oh, that's so exciting.
Like, tend to spend a lot of time reading more books that are brainless, I guess you could say, not learning when I have a moment. But one of my most favorite books in the entire universe is a book that Maria Pertolino, one of my old CMOs, recommended to me. It's called Don't Do, Delegate. And it's literally this then. It's maybe like 196 pages or something. Simple, easy read. I buy it for most of my managers every time I start a new gig. It's from like 1979. But let me tell you, every single principle in that book is applicable to today, meaning don't take on everything for your team. Teach your leaders how to lead by having them do. That way you have time to think strategically about things. Trust your employees. So that's what I do now. I delegate it out. And then we take that time and we learn the lessons from it. It gives them the opportunity to grow as well. And it gives you the opportunity to actually lead your team.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm so excited about your new gig, and we will keep following you and wishing you the best. Catherine Andruha, she's Senior Director of Global Sales Development at Simpler. Are you hiring by chance?
We are. We're hiring account executives. We're hiring SDRs. We're hiring in our marketing team. We are growing. We're really excited.
Can I reach out to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Reach out to me and check out our website. And if there's a role that you're looking for, feel free to ping me. Let's see what we can do for you.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you, Catherine, and continued success.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Conversations with Women in Sales. You can find all of our episodes at womensalespros.com/podcast. Help us spread the word, and let's change the face of B2B sales.